What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another Thursday, another episode of Clapback Culture. I'm Jessie, your co-host, and alongside my co-captain, Mr. Mike Davis of the South Seattle Emerald. Happy Thursday, Mike. We made it.
Hey, what's up, Julia? How's it going today?
We made it.
I thought you was about to drop them real lyrics for a minute.
Nah. What's up, y'all, in the comments? Let's get some energy on the show. I see everybody pulling in, pulling up. What's up, y'all? Mike, I'm really enjoying going on the Morning Updates show to promote the show before we come on Thursday. I hope you guys like it too. It gives you guys a little bit more of an insight of what we're going to talk about here on the show when you guys pull up. So I appreciate y'all always showing Converge Media the love, the support, and of course our show right here, because we put a lot of work in, don't we?
We do. I've been loving the mornings too, man. Shout out to O and Trey. It's been fun getting to kick it with those guys for a couple minutes every week.
Of course. And, all of my other Converge queens, Besa, T-Dub, make sure you guys check out Art of the Matter and, the Rewind with Besa. So anyway, we're here on Clapback Culture. It's time to clap back at a few things, y'all. Let's go ahead and dip right into it. All right, Mike, the first topic is one that you put on the ballot today, put on the docket. The co-founder of Black Voters Matter says that Biden should not be preaching to the choir. And so basically, well, we have a clip. Let's play the clip. We know that there's so much noise and drama going on about this voting bill, this voting bill. This voting rights bill. And so this is a super important topic and one that could make or break our constitutional rights. I don't know. So let's take a look at what Cliff Albright said, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Yeah, good morning to you. Well, as we said in our written statements, essentially what we're saying is that, we'd rather that the president had stayed in D.C. and perhaps delivered this speech to the Senate, to the Democratic caucus. They meet every Tuesday morning. He could have gone there and delivered the speech, because at this point, what we're saying is we don't need another speech from the president. He gave a very passionate speech, not only the one that he gave for the commemoration last week of January 6th, but remember, he gave a very passionate speech back in Philadelphia, back in July. But then literally for 7 months, we heard nothing else about voting rights from him. And so now is not the time for another speech. And to be clear, we believe in using the presidency as a bully pulpit. We would have loved that the president used the presidency as a bully pulpit for the past 7-8 months while we've been fighting for voting rights, even getting arrested outside of the White House, begging him to do so. But at this point, we don't need another speech. We don't need him to come to Georgia and use us as a prop. What we need is work. And we're out working too, because there are attacks going on against Georgia voters and Georgia organization happening right now.
Let me just read once again what he is going to say today, the next few days when these.
So important topic and subject, at hand. Mike, where are you taking this to? This is something that you put on. I'm interested to know where you're at with it.
Just that I think it's interesting that they're doing the boycott, and that's all fine and dandy. I don't even really think that it was really about that for me. I think it was just more so the idea of why come and give that speech in Georgia? Who in Georgia is he trying to convince? There's no one there for him to convince. This needs to be in DC. And I think that the overall message that we're hearing here is don't come pander to the Black folks. Don't come and get us for a photo op. Don't come here to give a speech. Like, you already got us. We're already right here. We know, like, the folks in Georgia are the ones that are being affected by all of these attacks on the rights to vote. He needs to be in DC. He needs to be talking to Senate. More importantly, he needs to be talking to Manchin and Sinema, who he did talk to actually after that clip. He talked to them today, and all the reports that are coming out right now is that those two are both where they've been this whole time. They're not really with it. So it's just hard for me to look at Biden, who, he was always propped up as this guy that could reach across the aisle. He's supposed to be the guy that can work with the other side to get things done, when he hasn't even been able to get all of the Democrats on the same page. And it's just hard to kind of see that, especially after we're coming off of a Trump administration where he had his party in check and people that wasn't in check was getting the boot. Yet right now with the Democrats, it's like it's our own party that's holding this up. It's not even so much can we reach across the aisle. It's can we get all the Democrats on the same page? And right now, it doesn't look like they're all there.
I think you make a fair point. And I would agree with Maggie's comment where it's interesting timing that only after the rotating villain that we're blocking this, that he, I would say it's interesting timing that he would make a decision to go to an HBCU. I would agree with you on the point that he is preaching to the choir and that we all want to see this voting right bill passed, and that, it's going to take some bipartisan support to get there. But I think what does stand is that Biden's comments about dismantling the filibuster and figuring out a new way to get past that, he needs to be clear with his plan, right? We need to understand what is the call to action and what are we doing specifically? And I haven't really heard anything to that plan. And I want to know, because what's at stake right now is a free and fair election. And it's super important that we have access to that and that we protect and defend our constitutional right to vote. And I know that lawmakers are nervous about this, right? This is not something that I think Democrats are really interested in just dismantling, because a filibuster, is honestly meant to bring on negotiation, right? At least that's what it was supposed to be for when it came about, right? And so now we're kind of facing a time where it's being weaponized and it's being used so something doesn't it does not hit the floor. So we'll see. I mean, here we are in 2022 fighting for the right to vote, and Democrats are kind of just saying, like, listen, this is the end all be all, and if this is what we got to do, this is what we got to do. And so I would agree that I'm not in full support of this. But again, what's at stake?
I agree. And I love having these conversations with you because you always give me that calm, measured, super professional approach. But that's not what we're talking about in these streets, man. It's hard. It's hard to take that stance when we're looking at Biden, and it's like, what the hell has he got done that he said that he was going to get done? The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act died. They let that die. The Build Back Better plan, dead, didn't happen. Canceling student loan debts, dead, didn't happen. He was supposed to be the guy to step in and usher us out of this pandemic and get the virus under control. Didn't happen. So it's hard to give this administration the benefit of the doubt when it seems like he's not able to make anything happen. And then I just wait till the next topic. We're going to see one of Donald Trump's cronies. Like, he got all of these little sock puppet politicians, and it's like Joe Biden just doesn't have that same power. He's just so laid back. He doesn't have that aggressive, like, he's not a dog. It's just hard.
I think that's what Cliff Albright's issue is with him right now, is like, instead of getting up and doing these speeches, like, we need you to be like putting that pressure on people. Like, when it came to that infrastructure bill, like, you did not take no for an answer. And we want to see that same push, that same motivation, that same pit bull mentality to go into the ring and really fight for what we have been fighting for. And I stand corrected, because Wendy is right in her comment that says that it was never our constitutional right. Women and, in minority groups did not have the right to vote, right? And so this is something that we started fighting for, and that here we are continuing to fight for our right to vote. And so this is super important, and we'll see what happens. Lawmakers are saying that they're going to push this until MLK Day, until the 17th. So I couldn't find when exactly they're going to take it to the floor, but I heard Elizabeth Warren say that they absolutely are, and that Schumer has a plan. So I don't know. I
don't know either. And it's not over. And I know that we got to move on. I guess for me, this affects Black people specifically, is how it feels to me. And it would be nice for this administration, after everything that Black folks did to get him in office, it would be nice if we can get a victory.
Yeah, this is huge. There's a lot at stake here. So we got to keep pushing. And, this conversation is so important, because what we saw in the 2020 election is millions of people coming out because we were able to reimagine and modernize this way to vote. And so trying to put the constraints back on is, I think, just not necessary at this point. We're moving on. Again, we like to preach this new normal, but a part of this is, expanding what we used to believe. And so I'm looking forward to the day where we can actually vote by phone, right? When we can actually just use our mobile device and vote, and just check a box. We do it for everything else. We have facial recognition on our phone. I mean, there's going to be something to modernize the way that we vote. And so these ideas of like, you have to have an ID, or, voting polls close at this time and you can't do a mail-in ballot and blah, blah, blah. Whatever the restrictions are, it just seems entirely archaic at this point.
Because all our politicians are 100 years old, man. That's the reason. These people ain't retiring. They're just sitting in office getting all dusty. They don't know nothing about technology. You're absolutely right. You get some fresh blood in there, of course. I mean, it should be so easy to vote with all the technology that we have. I mean, more people would vote if we made it easier, which who knows if that's what politicians really want. But the technology is right here. They just got to decide to use it.
I won't jump into the conspiracy theories with you, my brother, but I'll cheers to that and we'll move on. So another viral news story that popped up is our boy Ted Cruz. And he's walking back some comments that he made while he was being interviewed on the Tucker Carlson show. Let's take a look.
So we played this tape for you last time. We were surprised by it. We prefaced it by saying every conservative appreciates Ted Cruz because he's one of the smartest and most articulate people in the Congress, and he's conservative. But he referred publicly to what happened on January 6th as, quote, a violent terror attack. Here it is.
We are approaching a solemn anniversary this week, and it is an anniversary of a violent terrorist attack on the Capitol, where we saw the men and women of law enforcement demonstrate incredible courage, incredible bravery, risk their lives to defend the men and women who serve in this Capitol.
Senator Cruz was game enough to come on tonight. We appreciate that. He joins us now. Senator, thanks so much for coming on. So I guess there are a lot of dumb people in the Congress. You're not one of them. I think you're smarter than I am. And you never use words carelessly. And yet you called this a terror attack when by no definition was it a terror attack. That's a lie. You told that lie on purpose, and I'm wondering why you did.
Well, Tucker, thank you for having me on. When you aired your episode last night, I sent you a text shortly thereafter and said, listen, I'd like to go on because the way I phrased things yesterday, it was sloppy and it was frankly dumb. And
I don't buy that. Whoa. I don't buy that. Look, I've known you a long time, since before you went to the Senate. You were a Supreme Court contender. You take words as seriously as any man who's ever served in the Senate. And every word you repeated that phrase. I do not believe that you used that accidentally. I just don't.
So, Tucker, as a result of my sloppy phrasing, it's caused a lot of people to misunderstand what I meant. Let me tell you what I meant to say. What I was referring to are the limited number of people who engaged in violent attacks against police officers. Now, I think you and I both agree that if you assault a police officer, you should go to jail. That's who I was talking about. And the reason the phrasing was sloppy is I have talked dozens, if not hundreds of times. I've drawn a distinction. I wasn't saying that the thousands of peaceful protesters supporting Donald Trump are somehow terrorists. I wasn't saying the millions of patriots across the country supporting President Trump are terrorists. And that's what a lot of people have misunderstood that comment.
Wait a second, but hold on. What you just said doesn't make sense.
Oh, come on. Hey, Tucker Carlson. I think that's the energy people want Joe Biden to have when he's behind these closed doors. But Ted Cruz, Teddy, my boy, you're walking back the truth. I mean, what are you doing? Because this is the first time you've ever made any sense. And then you get on Fox News with your guy, and actually you got caught out there because Tucker actually texted you, or he texted Tucker and was like, oh, I saw your show and now I'm feeling kind of crazy about what I said. You didn't expect them to rip you apart. So
he did it.
I'm saying the fact, Mike, that Ted Cruz is preparing to run again for re-election for the presidential election in 2024. He's got to cast a wider net than just the viewers of Fox News. So he is not standing in the path of Donald Trump. Of course, he's walking back these comments. But again, he meant what he said.
Oh, he meant what he said. He just didn't mean to say it. He slipped up. He said, he told the truth by mistake. You know, of course, the only way Ted Cruz will tell the truth is if it's an accident. And, you know, he got caught in the error. And then Tucker ripped him a new one for making that mistake. That was his punishment. I think the funny thing to me, though, and I hate to always have to compare the two parties, but it's just so hard sometimes to ignore it. You got Ted Cruz, who ran against Trump. Not only did Trump repeatedly call this man's father a murderer, man, he called Ted Cruz, he called his wife ugly on multiple occasions. Like, he said it to him in person on camera. And then he like followed it up with a tweet where he put a picture of Ted Cruz's wife next to his own wife. And it's like, bro, how do you let somebody disrespect you on this level? And then you become a little puppy following them around, wagging your little tail. It's like you're spineless. But this is the type of hold that Trump has on that party, and like the views that Trump's followers hold. Like, it just keeps everybody in check. Even though Ted Cruz knows that he's going to have to run against Trump, he knows that he can't piss off that base. So he has to come and do stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so hard for the Democrats to compete with the Republicans when their party is on robot in this way.
Yeah, well, I mean, and not only that, I feel like Ted Cruz is honestly unplugging from the roboticness of it all. And, you know, he actually, you know, he's trying to draw this parallel between, you know, police officers and terrorism and this and that. And, you know, and the peaceful protesters that did show up to the Capitol that day. I don't remember seeing anybody peacefully showing up and protesting anywhere. So whether or not you want to call them a terrorist or not, I mean, you can't backtrack those comments. He said it over and over and over. I mean, it's not a mischaracterization when you say it like 5 or 6 times. So Ted Cruz, next time we'd like to see you stand firm on your comments. Don't back down, especially not to somebody like Tucker Carlson. But, you know, we'll see what happens in 2024. I guarantee you he is running and is going for that nomination.
Of course. Of course.
So we're still living in a pandemic, Mike Davis, a pandemic, inflation, COVID, Omicron, Deltacron, Omarion, all of them. But I have some good news for you. And I think, you know, COVID-19 is not usually synonymous with good news. But the good news is that the U.S. military, the Army, is actually coming up with a vaccine that could cure them all. Scientists over at the Walter Reed Institute, they are developing a COVID vaccine that is designed to protect against current variants, future variants, as well as SARS. And I think it's important to note, because these vaccines came out so quickly, is that they've been working on them since the early 2020. So it's been in development for a while now. And ultimately, their goal is to just create a vaccine that's going to knock out COVID-19 in all its forms, as well as anything that's SARS. And so they're excited about it. They've passed phase 1 in the human trials, and there's been positive outcomes. But there's a little bit of a caveat, because what made it challenging, y'all, is that as they were testing, they needed to have a sample of people that, 1, were not vaccinated, and 2, had never been exposed to COVID. And if you think about it, it's like, we're pushing to get people vaxxed and everybody's getting COVID, especially with Omicron. It's almost impossible not to get COVID right now. So it was really difficult. They said it was a challenge to find people, but they did. They're seeing positive outcomes. But scientists are also saying that, you know, they have to move into phase 2, phase 3. And the expectation is that they're going to get it out into more subjects in, you know, larger numbers, people that are vaccinated and people that have been exposed to COVID, to kind of see how it goes. So I'm hopeful that soon enough, in the next coming weeks, we should have a cure.
I like how you say that. I like how you said that. You make it feel so optimistic. It was great to hear that they've been working on this since 2020. So this isn't new. They've been doing a lot of research. This is big. It could definitely be a game changer, provided that people trust it enough to take it. But I mean, the research is there. And it looks like, though, now that they have got phase 1 of the trials where they found the people, no COVID, no vax, they are ready to move on to start trying it on people who've already had the vaccine. So to be honest, it's cool that they're about to make this announcement and let people know what they're doing. But I love the idea of them like actually taking the time, doing the research, taking the time to actually develop it properly. So, I mean, I don't want them to rush it. I think that they're on to something. It would be great to have one vaccine that can cure all of these. I mean, SARS, it comes and goes. We've had coronaviruses that come and go. So it would be nice to have just a one-stop shop that can kind of wipe out all of that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, are you guys optimistic? Let me know in the comments. I mean, at this point, I feel like I've already gotten too many jabs. I don't know if I can just get one more jab and then I'm safe and I'm good, cool. But then I don't want to have to keep getting that every single year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to get a flu shot. I really just don't want to keep shooting myself up with anything. Okay. I want my body to just be good and natural and organic and holistic. I don't want all this. So maybe they'll come out with a vegan version for me and Kyrie Irving, and then we can keep getting that.
I hope so. It would be nice just to have one. Boom, done, never again. But
boom and done. Yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic to see what happens. At least this is some good news as it relates to COVID. But I mean, at this point, I'm just a little desensitized to it all.
Me too. And looking at the comments, I think the audience feels the same way.
Exactly. What did Chip say? Optimistic, but I feel like masks are here and wow. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, something also new in science, another groundbreaking thing is a 57-year-old man with a life-threatening heart problem. He had heart disease, like life-threatening, like on his deathbed. Anyway, he received a heart transplant, but not from a normal donor, but from a pig. And we got a long clip that's going to explain what happened because that's crazy. Let's watch.
For the first time ever, a man with a life-threatening heart disease successfully received a new heart from a genetically modified pig. Surgeons at the University of Maryland performing this groundbreaking procedure on 57-year-old David Bennett Sr. You see him right there. This is now giving hope to doctors and thousands of patients waiting for organ transplants. I want to bring in Dr. Robert Montgomery from NYU Langone here in New York City. He's an expert in this field who his work has actually helped contribute to this breakthrough. So, Dr. Montgomery, thanks so much for joining Top Story tonight. We do appreciate your time. First of all, tell me about this patient and this surgery. It took place on Friday. From what you've heard, how is Mr. Bennett doing, and how will the next few days be for him?
Well, I had the opportunity to communicate with the team last night at Maryland. And, you know, as you saw, the patient is off the ventilator. He's still being partially maintained. His circulation is being partially maintained by an ECMO machine. But the plan is to gradually wean that off so that the pig heart will completely take over the work.
You know, when we first reported this, I used the phrase genetically modified pig. What exactly does that mean? Because some people may get confused with that.
Yeah, so this particular pig has had 10 different modifications in its genome in order to make it more acceptable to the human, both the human immune system, but also other, different pathways within the body, like the clotting pathway and something called the complement pathway, which allows the immune system to function normally. So it's had multiple different modifications to make it more compatible with the human system.
Mike Davis, ready for that good old pig heart? I don't know, y'all. This is just it's beyond my understanding. And Dora, I agree. When I saw this clip and they showed him, I said 7, he looks 112 years old. Like he looks, I mean, that's what happens when you get sick, y'all. Let me know in the comments if you guys had heart disease or a heart issue. It's the #1 cause of death here in the United States. Would you be willing to accept a pig heart?
Yes. I would. Look, man, this is modern medicine. This is where we are right now. We have the power to genetically modify animals to grow organs that will work in our human bodies, man. This is huge. I don't understand, man. If you're in the comments and you're not excited, you're wilding right now. Trust me. It's the new wave. We're going to breed animals to give us their parts. Before you know it, they're going to be growing pigs with hands and feet coming up off them. Everything, whatever you need. Like, yes.
I don't know. Cuddy, I wanted to bring Cuddy on because we were talking about this clip before the show aired. And honestly, he just said, listen, sometimes it's just, my time is my time. But 57 is so young, you guys. Janine, please know that she says that I guess since it's a pig, it's no longer kosher. So all y'all who don't eat no pork, listen. If you take the heart, can you eat pork after that? I don't know. We had this whole conversation about pork chops. I don't know. I mean, I guess here's the thing. This guy, he has a family, he has a wife, and they're probably like, you know what? Do whatever you got to do. If I was in a situation where it just wasn't my time to go, and this was like my last option, yeah, I might try it. Why not? I mean, you don't have anything to lose. So why are
y'all so opposed? I'm looking at the comments. I don't understand why so many of y'all are so opposed to medicine.
It's just weird. I don't know. It's just a little too different. I don't know, y'all.
Man, y'all's crazy, man. They're gonna come up with a serum soon that's gonna allow people to live longer, and y'all's gonna be scared to take it. It's just gonna be me kicking it with all your great grandkids because I'm gonna be here.
Can you imagine the jokes people are gonna have at the cookout when you pull up with the big heart?
Oh yeah,
it's a wrap. Like
don't eat no ribs. Don't eat no ribs at the cookout if you done took the pig heart. Oh, you're a cannibal.
If you're getting a heart transplant, you better not be eating no ribs. You better be eating some lettuce and some spinach and some all of that, and just keep it in some sea moss. I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm just so grateful I'm not in this position. But the guy is.
I'll ask you a question.
Yeah.
So what about for kids? Would you do that for your kid? Would you let them alter your kid's genes so that you could choose the eye color or the height or like the ability to play instruments? No.
Oh, well, I don't. Well, no. No, I just want my kid to just be how it's going to be. I wouldn't want to choose like, oh, I want this to, my kid to have brown hair and blue eyes and green, skin, whatever. No, I wouldn't. But I mean, I guess if we get to a point where it's like the Jetsons and you can like build your kids on a menu, it would just be normal. So,
hey, y'all look up CRISPR. All y'all out there, look up CRISPR. This is a real thing. They've already started trials on this in China. Maybe I'll bring an article for this next week. It's very, very interesting, man. They're about to start making these synthetic babies. It's wild.
Well, I kind of heard that. Well, I will save it for the next show. My answer to that is probably not. I kind of just want my baby to turn out like whatever. Like, me and Rodney have a baby. It's just like, I just want it to be a little baby that looks like us, that's loving and has all 10 fingers, all 10 toes, and that's it.
I need my 6'10", plays every instrument, can read books right out the womb.
But don't you think that's cheating because then your baby's genetically modified?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And this is how we get ahead. Yes, we better beat China. Don't let China do it first. They're going to start breeding soldiers over there.
You know what? On that note, let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to be doing it for the culture. Stay tuned.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Yo, shout out to my guy Jake, man. That overlay with that picture, me and Julia. Yo, Jake got that shot, man. He's the man behind the camera. Welcome back, y'all, to the show. I am still looking at your comments. Y'all got me rolling with these genetics, and I hope y'all know, no, this is not devil's advocate. I am not about to be out here with normal babies while everybody else is out here having super babies. Yeah, right. My baby will be a superhero too. You guys is tripping. Yo, man, science is a beautiful thing. I'm 100% on board, but we got to shift to a topic that's a little more serious. In the McMichaels trial, and I do mean the McMichaels trial, Ahmaud Arbery was not on trial here. His murderers were on trial. They did the sentencing recently, and we got a clip. We'll run that clip, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
This morning, the father and son found guilty of the 2020 murder of Ahmaud Arbery will spend the rest of their days behind bars.
A young man with dreams was gunned down in this community.
Judge Timothy Walmsley calling it accountability. For Greg and son Travis McMichael, a sentence of life without parole. And for neighbor William Bryan, a life sentence with the possibility of parole. The decision after hours of testimony, Ahmaud Arbery's parents describing broken hearts that will never heal.
Son, I love you as much today as I did today that you were born.
Attorneys for the defendants calling life without parole a punishment too severe.
Nothing in Travis McMichael's life suggests that he's a danger to society now, or will be a danger to society 30 years from now.
In the end, Judge Walmsley pointed to the McMichaels' lack of remorse, even pausing to reflect on Ahmaud's final moments. The 25-year-old was out for a jog when he was chased, shot, and killed. The judge noted Bryan, who did express remorse, earned a parole possibility because of it. As for Arbery's family, relief to see justice.
What will you go home with in your heart tonight?
The day that I laid Ahmaud to rest, I told him that we will get justice. I have finally fulfilled that promise to Ahmaud. We have justice for you. We got justice today.
Will you sleep soundly?
I will.
Katie Beck, NBC News, Brunswick, Georgia.
Yo, this was a major victory. As you see, the McMichaels both got life, no parole. Their homeboy got life with parole. But it looks like he's going to be doing at least 30 years before that parole comes up, and he's not the youngest person in the world. this case, honestly, it brought me back to Trayvon Martin. And I remember when Trayvon was murdered and, we had to sit through that case. That was kind of the tip of the iceberg with me not liking Obama, if I'm being honest, because I remember Obama getting in front of cameras and instead of just using his words to advocate for the importance of Black life, he both sides it and said that he trusted the justice system to do its job. I'll never forget that because George Zimmerman walked free. And according to Obama, that was the justice system doing its job. In this case, fortunately, the justice system did do its job. And even in this victory, I was troubled, honestly, by the fact that the McMichaels defense didn't even seem like a defense. Like, they openly admitted that they didn't see Ahmaud commit a crime. They never said that they felt like their own lives were in danger. So it was so awkward to me watching this case play out where you got 3 white guys on trial facing the rest of their life in prison, and they couldn't even muster up a defense that included a sincere apology. It was like they expected to get off, like they expected to be allowed to chase this young Black man down and kill him. So it was just a really emotional moment, and it was a really important moment to see them be sentenced in that way. And if you watch the speech that the judge gave before delivering the sentencing, I think he hit it on the head when he talked about remorse and the lack of remorse that he saw from the McMichaels. So that, it sends a message. It sends a message that it's not fine. And, our country has this weird relationship with vigilante justice, particularly white men deciding that they can take the law into their hands. And it's usually Black and brown bodies that are on the business end of that. So this was a huge victory for the community. This was a huge victory for the family. But at the end of the day, Ahmaud Arbery is gone. He should be here, and he's gone. And to hear his mom speak, it was heartbreaking. So I'm glad that we get to close this chapter. We got Julia back. Julia, I'll pass it to you.
You brought up something that I totally thought about when I watched the sentencing, was that the defense attorney was like that they are not going to be a threat to society. That alone, the premeditation of it all, the fact that they had been actively looking to see who was doing these break-ins and kind of trying to do this, citizen's arrest. That makes them a threat to the community because they believe that they are, have this law enforcement type of authority to be able to act in that capacity. And so I really enjoyed watching the sentencing because I thought the judge was very thorough. I thought he was thoughtful. And I thought that he really took his time with the evidence. He took his time with the opening and closing remarks. He took his time to kind of really remind everybody about the story of what happened to Ahmaud Arbery that day, and really just talked about, what was going through the minds of the killers in those moments and how everybody needed to take responsibility for said action. And he really did a thorough job at going through each individual defendant in the matter. And so you're right. Ahmaud Arbery was not on trial. This is a McMichaels case, and Roddy, who will be up for parole, but in the next 30 years. But, this was definitely a win. It was a victory. And, I'm glad to see it. And I'm glad that the family was able to get justice in this case. They'll never get their son back, but they definitely got justice. And, Ahmaud Arbery's mom, she's a strong Black woman, ain't she?
Yeah, she
ain't playing.
Yeah,
so,
she is.
Yeah. Some more Black legacy, y'all. We lost Sidney Poitier last week. It was formally announced by was it the Minister of Tourism? The Minister of Foreign Affairs in Bahamas. He was Bahamian. But we know.
I thought it was TMZ.
Stop what you doing. But you know, we all know Sidney Poitier for his lifelong work in doing monumental breakthroughs for Black people in arts and humanities, and you know, he will definitely be missed. But 94 years old, I mean, you die at 94. I mean, we cannot mourn your loss. We have
Yes,
to
we can. It was too soon. It was too soon.
When you live that long, it's definitely something to be celebrated. He did his work. He left his you know, his mark here on earth. And, you know, I'm just grateful to have lived in a lifetime with him, because he's definitely a gem, an icon, and someone monumental. Raisin in the Sun, man. I mean,
yeah, shout out to the legend. Shout out to the legend. And there's like a lot of celebrities, so especially Black celebrities, who talked about how he impacted their life. I couldn't find the clip to be able to get it here, but if you go look at what Jamie Foxx said when Jamie Foxx was up for an Oscar, he started wilding out. Like, he was like, yo, I'm up for this Oscar, man. He's partying. He said he was doing all the drugs. He was doing all of that because, you know, he's flaving. And he got sat down by Sidney, and he gave him the talk to really let him know, like, nah, this is a real moment right here. You got a real opportunity. This is bigger than you just celebrating and carrying yourself like that. And yeah, you should really look up that clip with Jamie Foxx. I can't even remember who he was talking to, but it was powerful. So shout out to the legend. Rest in peace.
Man, yeah, he's a heavy hitter. He's one of those people. Oprah Winfrey described him as just very gentle, and she described his loss as just like one of the branches off the tree. Like, he's just another one down.
And he was an activist too. Like, shout out to him and Harry Belafonte, man. They were really trying to make it happen for Black folks. Like, he didn't just take this money and go assimilate. Like, no, not at all. He was in the streets and he was down for the cause, man.
Another person who was down for the cause that is also being celebrated is writer, poet, you know, civil rights activist Maya Angelou. She is now on the Quarter, y'all. And I'm not sure if it's a limited time, but the Quarter features an image of Angelou with her arms uplifted in a bird, like a bird in flight, and raising sun behind her, with a portrait of George Washington on the head side of the Quarter. So it's not just her. This is just the back. But the U.S. Mint said the image of Angelou was inspired by her poetry and symbolic way of life. What's interesting about this, though, is that this brought up a lot of conversation about the Harriet Tubman and her being on the currency. I think one thing's important to note is that Maya Angelou is being featured as, you know, an American woman. And so she's one of 5 different designs that are going to come out between 2022 and 2025. And so next year's coins will depict her, this year, will be Maya Angelou, and so, you know, an astronaut, Sally Ride, the first American woman in space, Wilma Mankiller, the Cherokee Nation's first principal woman chief, Angelina, aka Nina Otero Warren, a leader in New Mexico's suffrage movement, and Anna May Wong, the first Hollywood film star of Chinese American descent. So shout out to strong women, man. But if we are honest about this, a lot of people, you know, we had, you know, this could easily be our clapback, brother. Is like, where is Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill, y'all? Like, for real. I mean, I know we brought this up again. It was already passed when Obama was president. We know that Donald Trump stopped it, or excuse me, his administration stopped it. And Joe Biden has said, you know, that they're still strongly advocating for this to happen. And, you know, they're in conversation with, you know, the United States Treasurer's Office. But where is the bill?
I don't know, Julia, but I'm not going to lie. Instead of putting us on the money, they need to put some money on us. Like, man, where's the reparations, man? You want to honor the legacy of Black folks in America, honor us with reparations. I'm not gonna hate, you know, women. That's what's up. Do your thing, but like, it's just hard for me to get excited, man. Like, give us something tangible, man.
Yeah.
But you know, she deserves to be celebrated. Like, no hate.
Yeah, but it still just doesn't defeat the fact that Harriet Tubman should still actually be on the $20 bill. Like, we should be moving Andrew Jackson up out of there. I mean, all the work that she did to help slavery and be, just be an abolitionist. Like,
Well,
why?
that's
Like,
what's going to keep her off of the $20 bill.
well, listen, we have a diverse history, and we need to just live up and own up to that. It's not, you're not I mean, I don't know.
If they put her on the $20 bill, they're going to call that critical race theory.
It is critical. That is the definition of critical race theory, my friends. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, congratulations to the Angelou family. I don't even think that quarter is going to be like, it's cool, but it's just not enough. And we still need to keep our foot on the gas when it comes to getting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill, for real. Like, real talk.
Yeah, it could be both. It could be both.
Some exciting news has come out. I'm actually late to the party in this. I was having a conversation with my good girlfriends, and we were just having a conversation like, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite movie? And I was like, Sister Act 2. And my homegirl India was like, yeah, they're coming out with Sister Act 3. And I was like, what? There is not a Sister Act 3. So I am so late to the party that I thought, where else should I bring this news to, y'all? But Sister Act 2 is having a Sister Act 3. And guess who's putting it together? Tyler Perry, y'all. So in an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, Tyler Perry, talks about Sister Act 3, and he's really excited about it. He says that Whoopi's excited about it. And he says that the script has been written, that everything is going. They got the director, Tim Federelli, that's coming in. Whoopi's excited about that. And she's ready to get back in the habit, baby. So I'm looking forward to that. He will not dish anything else out. But the last thing that we do know is that it's probably going to come out on Disney Plus. So I'm going to have to be asking somebody for that login and password, baby. You guys, small kids, you guys got Disney Plus over there?
Of course we got Disney Plus, man. I was about to hate on this at first, but you know what? Yo, man, those Sister Act movies were hard when I was a kid, man. I was going to hate because I'm just a hater. But I can't act like I wasn't singing those songs. I was singing the songs, man. The music better be on point, though, for real. Because
the music better be on point. It will absolutely be on point.
Yeah.
How can you hate, like, you know what?
You ain't never, like, I had a long day today. So, sometimes when I have a long day on a Thursday, I just like to come up in here and just hate on stuff. But this, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it because I can't do it. I hope that my kids get the experience with this that I got when I was a kid, because it was fire.
Yeah. Everything about Sister Act 1 and 2 and now 3 is going to be everything. Sister Act 2, I can watch it back to back to back. It's
for real.
It's a classic. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. It's
still,
if you
haven't seen it, you should be embarrassed.
It's culturally relevant even now. So dive deep, Anyway, moving on. Is that our last topic here? Okay, we're not going to break. We never have time for break. But this story right here, Mike Davis, is absolutely crazy to me. There's a little girl named Harmony Montgomery. Have you guys heard about this story? Let me know in the comments if you guys heard.
I hadn't either. Before you put it, I have not.
Shocking. She has been missing for 2 years now. So we have a clip that's going to catch you guys all up. It's about 2 minutes. Let's play that one, come back and talk about it.
Tonight, new arrests in the saga of Harmony Montgomery, but the little girl still nowhere to be found after being reported only recently that she's been missing for the last 2 years.
The loss of any little child is tragic. A 7-year-old girl missing for 2 years. She's a daughter. She's a sister. She's out there somewhere.
Kayla Montgomery, the wife of Harmony's biological father, arrested on welfare fraud charges. Prosecutors say she obtained $1,500 in food stamps intended for Harmony after failing to remove the girl from their family account. She's being held on $5,000 bail. Her attorney says that's high for this kind of offense.
It tells me there's suspicions from the state that there may be something else involved. I don't know whether those suspicions are well-founded or not, but the request for cash bail is pretty unusual given what she's charged with.
Adam Montgomery had legal custody of Harmony at the time she was last seen. He was also arrested Tuesday. Neither is charged for her disappearance. Adam is charged with second-degree assault, interference with custody, and endangering the welfare of a child. One of those instances, investigators say Adam struck Harmony in the face, causing a black eye in 2019. Kevin Montgomery, Adam's uncle, was visiting the home around that time.
I walked in the house and Harmony had a black eye like you see in a boxing match between two men. He bashed her around the apartment, kind of with his exact words.
According to court documents, Kevin says he and other family members made multiple reports to New Hampshire's Division for Children, Youth, and Families.
And I don't know how they missed the black eye that I saw.
Police say they found Adam sleeping in his car with his new girlfriend on New Year's Eve. He told police he'd given Harmony back to her biological mother around Thanksgiving back in 2019. Her mother, Crystal Sorey, disputes this, according to the court documents. Police say he made some contradictory statements and, quote, did not exhibit much emotion or reaction to the fact that Harmony hadn't been seen in 2 years. A few days after this conversation, police maintain they're still searching for a young girl who is alive.
This right here, a lot of people drop the ball, Mike. One thing I can tell you, when I was working with the home health agency, I actually subbed in to be a case manager when my colleague was on maternity leave. Well, in that role, what I realized is that I worked with a lot of social workers and a lot of case managers to manage care for both adults and pediatrics. It's interesting because there was a case that I obviously can't really talk about, but there was a case, and I asked my colleague, I'm like, how is the father still able to keep his kids? Like, this is just not a safe environment. And what she disclosed to me is that oftentimes the judges and the system really want to, keep these kids with their parents. I mean, and again, parents have a fundamental right to have their kids, right? But this story is so crushing that we're looking at, a 5-year-old little girl going missing, and the last time she was seen is the end of 2019, where the father allegedly takes his daughter, November 2019, takes his daughter and drops the daughter off to the mother. And then we don't have anything else after that, but the mother never received her. So it's a lot of balls dropped. And then boom, there's COVID. Everybody's working from home. Nobody's thinking about this. And if you're a case manager and you're probably thinking about like all of the things that you could have done, should have done, courts are closed. I mean, this is honestly, to me, very disheartening. And I wanted to bring it to this platform because I think it's so important that while we all try to stay in our zone and mind our business and, not, follow this kind of guise of like not really wanting to say anything, it's super important to know your neighbors, and it's super important to have conversations and, look out for your neighbors, know what's going on, because there could be a child in need, and we are mandated reporters. Like if you're out in the community and you see something, you need to say something. And in this case, there were people that called in. The police had been called numerous times to this property, over 10 times, to include also checking the welfare of little Harmony. And so I'm just shocked how she slipped through the crack like this.
Yeah, I'm shocked too. This was crushing. I was not aware. I see some people in the comments that had heard of this back in 2019. I did not.
I didn't either.
It's just a really sad story just to see her have to go through that. I worked with kids for years, so whenever I see stories like this, it just kind of hits me, man. It's hard, and kids are so resilient, and it's just, man, like I can't believe it. Like I know they want to keep the kid with the family, but I mean, at some point, somebody should have stepped in because clearly the home life was not good for this kid.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's important that, we have to really make a decision on what's best for the child in this case. Another thing to consider is, the opioid crisis, right? I just watched this really good series on Netflix, y'all, shameless plug, called Dope Sick. And I just think about how opioids have torn through communities. And, both of the parents in this case have openly, discussed or disclosed rather that they had, problems with serious addictions. And the mom was, in and out of sober living. She was trying to get herself together. The father in and out of, jail, and also, a lot of this leading from being high, and so when you're thinking about your drugs and getting high, you can't think about anything else. And sometimes it's just not people's fault. I mean, you can get an injury, and then, back in the day, in the early 2000s, if they gave you, I can't even think of what it's called. Not Vicodin. What's it called, y'all? Oxy. Gave you Oxy. It gave you Oxy. It's like you were hooked. So this is why we are here, and we see so many broken families. I mean, this case even talked about, and mentioned that the house didn't even have any power for multiple months. And the neighbors knew, and they were just kind of like, yeah, I mean, that's normal. Like, we ain't got no money, because this entire community was stricken with an opioid crisis. So, and methamphetamines. This is something that we are absolutely dealing with in a lot of these places in the United States. And we have to understand that this is a symptom. This is a symptom to that type of,
I agree. It's also a societal thing too. I mean, like I feel bad for the little girl, but also, the social workers, man, their caseloads are sky high. I know somebody put that in the comment. I read something else recently too, that it's getting harder and harder to even find new social workers because wages are so low. Like,
oh yeah,
the amount of money that they're paid for the caseloads that they have doesn't line up, especially when you're looking at the major cities where cost of living is through the roof. Wages just will not catch up. It's the perfect storm. And unfortunately, we're going to have kids that are going to suffer due to these societal failures of adults.
It is. That's a whole nother topic. And
yes,
we should next week, we're definitely going to talk about inflation. We're going to talk about the state of our nation. But right now we are out of time. It's been great to come and chop it up with you guys for an hour. Mike Davis, when you're not here, where can they find you?
South Seattle Emerald. Wherever you find the Emerald, you'll find me. And Wednesday mornings, you can find me morning update show. I will be there 11:08 a.m. on Wednesdays.
Yes, to the 11:08. All right, y'all. I am your host, Jules Jessie. You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Treasure of JULES. And you can find me on the morning update show every Thursday at 11:20 a.m. All right. Well, that's our show, y'all. We love you. We appreciate you for always pulling up and coming through. Send us your show topics. Let us know what you want to hear about and talk about. Until then, keep it cute. I was going to say keep it cute, but until then, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.